Coming up this week on the Digital Lifestyle Show 835, it's Build 2022, so we'll be talking about that. Garry and Richard here. We'll be talking about what's coming for Windows in there, our developers, our new dev boxes, new ARM device. So we'll be talking about that. We're talking about the new builds of Windows 11. One's just dropped tonight, but we had one last week as well with some new features, including the search bar thing, and lots more. So let's get straight to Richard and Garry. Richard, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, welcome back. And it's been a busy week as well.
It has indeed been a busy week. Yeah, it's we speak on the second day of build.
Yeah, that's right. And I watched the keynote and I've seen some of the sessions, but that's all sort of the titles of sessions. But I've not been in any of the sessions other than the keynote yesterday.
Yes, I mean I'm hoping Garry pops along because I think it's I found it less than scintillating. Let's put it that way so far.
I mean, for the Windows enthusiasts, there isn't a huge amount. There is a couple of bits and pieces, but
there is indeed.
There wasn't a huge amount.
I mean, obviously, Build is the developer focused event, but yes, it's you compare it to other events we've seen recently. It's you think it's just a bit subdued, and lots and lots of Azure, lots of cloud stuff, bit of Windows in there too. I mean, there are some relatively large Windows things in there, but that's all kind of coming soon, or we'll share more later.
Yeah.
So they kind of got the headline there, great, but no more detail. Quite frustrating. So I guess we'll get to those in a moment.
Yeah, that's right. So the first thing that I noticed that was kind of buried in a blog post or something is that the Amazon App Store for Windows, the Android to bring Android apps to Windows 11, is in the is due coming in later this year for the UK, and I think it's 9 markets in total. Actually,
five. It's 5 markets. Yeah, 5 markets. Yeah. That was actually the thing that caught my eye. Believe it or not, I thought, there we go, because they obviously just released a few days before Windows subsystem for Android, which they did for Android Open 12.1. And there it was still very much Amazon App Store preview for US only. And of course, a few days later, here you go, it's going to open up to more countries. Of course, the problem is you're still using the Amazon App Store and they're saying, oh, we've got thousands of apps on there now. It's like, well, that's great, but there's many more apps out there than that. So I guess the real challenge is to see at what point they'll find an official way or a supported way of getting more apps on there that aren't just the Amazon App Store.
Yeah, that's what it needs. I mean, I've and here is Garry.
Excellent.
Just as we talk developer news for Windows.
Exactly. Garry's here to talk DevBox and the death of UWP again.
Well, there he is. He's just joining us now. Hello, Garry. We can hear Garry typing. Well, while Garry gets connected, that the Amazon App Store I don't know whether, do you think they would ever make it easy for third-party apps to be installed? I mean, they mentioned the big thing about the Windows Store accepting apps from multiple locations. So does that mean that they're expecting Android apps to be able to go straight to the Windows Store?
I mean, I would guess at the moment it all feels so disparate and split that you would hope that was going to be the long-term plan, to basically have a unified store and also, expand beyond just the what Amazon deigned to make available in their app store. But I'm not sure how they would do that using Android Open, because I know obviously Google Play needs to have loads of Google services installed as well. So how they do it, I don't know. But I mean, at the moment, as a techie, I think it's brilliant. It's really exciting. I really also like it's worthwhile mentioning the Windows subsystem for Android tweaks, which I think are only Dev Channel Insider right now, aren't they?
Yes, they are, yeah.
But there's all kinds of exciting things in there in terms of app compatibility. There are some apps now that don't work, but I think they'll fix them in time. But they introduced loads of things. The big one being, of course, your Android apps can now get on the network of the host machines. So you can have your Android app accessing things like connected speakers and devices, which I think is a huge thing. It makes it really useful as opposed to being a neat demo. But it remains a big but. It does feel very disparate and split out at the moment. It'd be good if there was some way of unifying it all together.
Yeah, definitely would. So you mentioned that. So it's Android 12. It's not the 12
No,
it's just 12. It's 12.1.
It's 12.1, and it's the Android Open version, so it's not the the one you probably have on your phone. Which again, this is not my specialist area, but I think the main difference is a whole bunch of Google services simply aren't there, which is a problem certainly for apps on the Google Play Store.
Yeah, and I know some third-party developers have hacked that back in.
You can do it. You can certainly do it. Yeah. I mean, it's. But what I'm looking for is a way of doing it that doesn't involve hacking around and doing naughty things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I find that the Tiny ADB was a quick, nice ADB, Android Developer Bridge. Yeah, that's it. Was a nice way of getting them on, but that doesn't get you Play services in. So, Gary, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Good. We you as often you join me in my car charging.
Yes. Okay.
Another live from a car park.
Well, I've just gone from sub 20%, 18% to 86% in 17 minutes, which I don't think is bad going.
No, not at all. That get you home?
That'll definitely get me home. Yeah, so I'm actually travelling back from Reading, where I've been at the UK Build event all day, helping out a few bits and pieces.
Excellent. Well, we're talking Bill. We've just talked about the Android subsystem, but there was a bit of Windows talk on there, and part of that was the Amazon App Store coming to the UK and some other markets. It's France, Germany, Italy, and Japan, as well as the UK. But I'm not sure. The Windows subsystem, or the Android subsystem for Windows, is a great idea, great technical achievement. I just use it fairly infrequently, and I'm just not sure how much real world usage it gets. But it is a great technology.
Yeah. I can certainly see some use of it from a dev point of view, but yeah, it's I don't know how often people actually do use it. I mean, there's certainly a couple of apps I would love to be able to run on my Windows desktop, which I can't at the moment. So
yeah,
particularly my car type apps. Actually.
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Richard.
I think certainly, with the large update they did on the dev channel for Windows Insiders access to allow Android apps to access the network of the host machine. I think that opens up a lot of possibilities now.
Yeah.
But the real killer is that it's still disparate. I mean, I'm really pleased to see Microsoft investing effort and time in it. It's great to see that. I just as you said, I hope they find a way of somehow unifying the App Store. You've got the Microsoft Store, the Amazon App Store. You've got people hacking apps in other ways. It feels a bit spread out at the moment. And but I think the tech is really neat and clever.
Yeah, it is. So some of the other things that they announced on the Windows side of things, there was some things about the store, wasn't it? Is it Win32 apps can go into the store now? They said they removed the queuing system or whatever it was.
The waitlist for a whole bunch of stuff. So I think pretty much any Windows app you want to write can go in there now. Again, Gary, this is definitely your area of expertise.
Yep, sounds like it. I mean, I haven't seen the full details, but that seemed to be what they were saying, that you no longer have to go through this preview process before it goes onto the store. So yeah, it looks like we should see a whole bunch of Win32 apps appearing.
And who knows, maybe some ARM64 apps too, because I did see they're going to port Visual Studio 2022 to ARM to make it ARM native.
They are indeed, yeah, ARM native, and also the .NET going ARM native as well. So that's really good to see. I mean,
actually, just to say, that's the classic .NET. Obviously, .NET Core's been cross-platform since day one, pretty much. This is the old .NET framework that's been around for 20 years plus. Yeah. So again, really good to see it, because it means it lowers the barriers for this mystery ARM box they've talked about and given no specs other than the name and the fact it's got some sockets. Yay!
Yes, yay!
Do you know any more than that, Gary, about Volterra?
No, I know not, other than what you've heard in the keynotes and etc. But I mean, it certainly sounds interesting. And as you say, the bringing the .NET framework into ARM means a lot of apps will just run straight out of the box.
Yeah, it'll be very easy to just recompile stuff and target ARM native. Yeah,
no, they'll go. So could be a lot of old stuff suddenly magically appearing. And it may even be possible to someone to take an old x86 app and actually sort of reverse engineer and recompile it to ARM.
Yeah,
I mean, for that.
I mean, I guess the killer is it's a bit like, it's similar to when they dragged Visual, kicking and screaming into the 64-bit world after many years of saying no, we'll never do it. Obviously, extensions. We have apps and things that have dependencies. They will also need to come across as well, unless you're going to run everything in x86 simulation mode, which is not the fastest way of doing things.
Not indeed. But yeah, I mean, I'm hearing people who've apparently seen this box, and I've not no information of it. Say it's very quick. So whatever that means.
Well, after the $200 dev box that turned up last year, which was, shall we say, somewhat limited. Yes, I'm looking forward to them, because at the moment, for my money, we're in as an ARM still runs best on a M1 Mac.
Yeah.
And this is aimed for developers, isn't it? But I wonder whether they'll make this available just through the Microsoft Store, because I can see multiple uses for a device like this.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, on developers, there's a lot of interest in ARM servers, ARM servers as well. I mean, there's ARM boxes in Azure data centers. It was very interesting to see the Windows subsystem for Linux, for example, now turning up on Windows Server 2022. So. It'd be good for developers, but I do wonder if the tech's going to sort of find its way into the DCs as well.
Yeah, we don't know the price of these boxes yet either, do we?
We don't know the price, we don't know the spec, but we know it's got lots of ports.
Yeah, I've seen, yeah.
Oh, it's Snapdragon. Is it an 8C or something? I can't remember which. It's one of the latest Snapdragons, and of course it's got the neural processing unit as well, which the NPU, which is the buzzword, because everything must involve AI at some point. So it's got that as well. So I mean, it might make a really good edge device, because obviously ARM, low powered, runs fast. If you got all that stuff, you can do a lot of interesting edge processing. So that's another thing I thought it could be useful for. So I guess I'm just pleased to see Microsoft doing something with ARM, because it's Windows and ARM has been around for quite a long time now, and it's never really got any traction. So it's good to see. This is I think it's a real positive step.
Yeah, definitely is. Some of the bits and pieces they announced around Windows as well, around the store. They've got this, when you do a search now, if there's a matching app, it'll give you the little thing to say get it from the store, won't it now? So it's exposing those making those apps a bit easier to find now from search anyway.
Yes.
And I think the other thing was they're gonna finally put a restore all app thing in the store. I'm sure was it Windows 8 that did that, where you could get it to do that?
I've given up thinking about. Windows Phone worked really well. I mean, there's no two ways around. There's lots of stuff Windows Phone that worked fantastically well, which I think with Windows Desktop still catching up with, really. And Microsoft does have this weird habit of taking things away and then adding them back and saying, "Oh, it's a great new feature." It's like, yeah, but this we had this before. We definitely had this before. So anyway.
To be honest, when I get a new machine, like when I get a new laptop like up the Surface, I tend to only install the things I really want on there, and then I don't have a standard list of apps that I always have, because I try and keep them as clean as possible.
Well, that's your fact. I mean, maybe I'm a reflection of where users are going now. I mean, when I set up a new Windows machine, I just simply point it at my OneDrive, and the settings come across from there. I don't actually install many apps apart from Office, and that's it, because most of my stuff is now done via web apps. So I don't have any need to install any apps from the store. So it's almost like, yay, store stuff at a time when people are maybe moving on. Yeah,
PWAs, and of course PWAs are now being pushed in the store as well. Well, they have been for a while, but they're really pushing that now.
And I guess, Gary, with what's happened with OneNote, does this mean we can finally say that UWP is no more, or we're going to call it Maui and pretend we had 4 letters, not 3?
Let's have 4 letters, not 3.
Yeah, I got the updated OneNote. I didn't notice the difference at first. I was like, oh, it looks slightly different. Then all the blog posts came out, and I thought, it is different.
Yeah, it's. I mean, again, one of the joys is you probably wouldn't notice the difference unless you knew what to look for. But it's. I think was OneNote the last surviving UWP Office app? Was that right? I think. And now it's been merged into one sort of panel. So
yeah, I'm not totally sure if it's the last one, but it's certainly the last major one.
yeah.
And I still use the WP one all the time, actually. And only since I got the Surface Laptop Studio that I've gone back to using the Office version of it effectively. But I know that they're sort of merging those.
Yeah. That there were some things which I was surprised or disappointed not to see more about. And I don't know if you've seen any build sessions on these yet, which is Surface Duo 3, HoloLens, HoloLens 3.
There's a Surface Duo 2 Android 12 L session. Or there's an Android 12 session about dual screen devices. So, but there's no Surface Duo 3.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen any HoloLens stuff at all.
See, both of those, I was disappointed not to see those, to be honest. I was hoping there'd be some kind of hint about what's coming, because with the phones, you have to do a phone refresh every year if you want to be serious in the market. And HoloLens 2 that came out a while ago now, didn't it? It came out in 2019, I think.
19, I think, yeah.
So again, that's getting, I think Microsoft needed to have done something there to address the rumors around problems in the HoloLens team. And as yet, I've not seen anything in build. Hopefully I'll be proved wrong there, because it's a neat bit of tech, but I'm concerned there's nothing concrete in build about it. Unless you've seen those that I've missed.
It was mentioned.
I haven't seen anything in it. Yeah, there's always tomorrow.
The sun will come out tomorrow.
Yeah, it was mentioned in the keynote, I know about, but I think then it was more alluding to you can use this technology on HoloLens on PC. It was one of those kind of things rather than anything specific.
I must admit,
it was about Barry, wasn't it?
I must admit, I think it was the very last in-person keynote I saw with Satya Nadella doing a keynote, and he was on stage, and they were doing AR. It's like a Mindscape thing, and I can remember it was under the sword or the carrot was positioned very unfortunately.
Yes, I think I remember that. There wasn't a specific. I mean, we've not had one of those events where they they show what the view looks like from HoloLens, all the cameras and everything else. A HoloLens specific event for some time, but then build is like you said, it's about developers rather than specific.
Well, it is, but developers have got lead time, so they need to know what to code against. So if you're not going to really mention it or talk about it, then that means you're going to lose a year of developer time. So that would be my concern about it. I obviously wouldn't expect hardware and things, but developers need to know what's going to happen. Otherwise, it's one of the things that I find frustrating about build and things like going whiz bang about the various new Windows tools and things. It's like, okay, now Maui is the thing and this is the thing. I think, well, yeah, but you got about a few years ago you were telling developers something different, and developers are going to get annoyed after a while. So you need to kind of say a thing and then stick with it, which they have done with .NET Core, to be fair.
There wasn't also any specific event or session or even a mention of the 22H2 update for Windows 11 as well. So that, not that I really expected, but I thought they might allude to or mention that they've got an upgrade coming to Windows 10.
Yeah, I thought
Windows 11, but no.
I mean, I thought that they were going to launch it actually. I know on the I think it's the Thurrott site mentioned that there's kind of 2261 is looking like it's going to be the RTM version. Well, if you can say RTM, but it looks like that's going to be the release version of Windows 11 22H2. So, and that's kind of snuck onto some official Microsoft pages. So I was expecting there to be more of an announcement, but nothing at all. Perhaps they'll do it as like a Windows event, and Panos Panay can run out and declare himself pumped, and then show some hardware that they'll never ship.
Yeah. Oh, and the other exciting thing is Widgets are open to third parties. So Garry's going to be developing widgets for Windows.
Yeah, that takes me back.
Yeah, sidebar is back.
Active desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the above.
Exactly. Windows, was it the Windows 95 OSR2? Was it with IE? Was it IE4?
Yeah.
They put in the active desktop, which of course then was standard in Windows 98. Yeah, there we go. Active desktop, Windows 99, 95 with IE. I think it was 4. Sure, someone's going to correct me now.
I think I actually think the widgets they're a nice idea, not particularly apart from the weather and the traffic one. There's not a huge amount I use in there, but I mean, if there was something useful that came across into that, then maybe it would
I just don't know why Microsoft doesn't learn. It's like, they tried it with Active Desktop, no one liked it, no one used it, it disappeared. They tried it again in Windows Vista, tried it in Windows 7, people just didn't use them, and it's like they keep trying to force this stuff on people. So I can only assume that they're doing it again because it's a good way of getting things in front of eyeballs, I suppose. I mean, because clearly users don't want this because they voted with their feet in all the times that Microsoft has tried this. So, and anyway, we'll see what happens. Perhaps I'm getting old and cynical now, but it's like you think this again, really, again.
We'll have more on features that nobody's asked for yet. That's coming to Windows maybe later in the show. Was there anything else in build then that you saw that?
Yeah, there was actually. This again, I'd like to know what Garry thinks of this. The dev box, Garry, which I thought was actually exciting.
Yeah, so this is basically a tailored virtual machine with a lot of control over it for devs. But interesting, they're actually enabling some stuff in the VMs which they haven't enabled before. Because one of the things they demoed on the keynote, for example, was running emulators in the VM, which is really cool from my point of view. And obviously the Android subsystem for Linux, the Windows subsystem for Android, is just like
exactly.
Linux would be good, yeah, which is available actually in the VM. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's interesting from a dev point of view. Yeah, great. I mean, being able to actually have loads of VMs which I can scale up, load up, pre-set up for a team. Just create an environment and do it. Excellent stuff. It should really help. Definitely. The one caveat on that is I've not seen anything on pricing yet.
Yeah.
The two VMs are pretty pricey.
Well, yes, certainly it's been one of the major problems with Windows 365 and the Azure Virtual Desktop is just how much this stuff costs. It is expensive. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But I was quite excited by that because I mean I'm not a massive dev myself, but seeing all that tech being turned on, particularly making things available in VMs that have never really been there before. Yeah, obviously they've activated some Hyper-V stuff. I thought it was very exciting. Yeah. So that was cool.
It's really good. And it's actually answering a lot of questions that have been out there for a long while, particularly for people doing dev testing, so sort of Android testing and stuff like that. It's been really challenging, which actually I think will have a good knock-on for consumers. It'll make it a lot easier for some of the guys who do Windows dev to actually port their stuff across to Android phones, etc. And maybe a really good boost for the Maui development, also cross-platform development again, which hopefully will lead to better consumer apps. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. It's fairly comprehensive. I mean, I must admit that the site and the streaming service and the way you can do your sessions and the follow-up stuff has been pretty good as well. So if you can go back and view these sessions stuff till they're finished, and I think Microsoft are getting quite good at these sort of virtual events now, because I mean we kind of forget that this used to be a real in-person event.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll come back again as an in-person event.
It still is for a selected few. Because they've basically done a test run on running it as a hybrid event today by actually having an invited audience at Thames Valley Park in the UK. And they were going to do similar thing in the States as well. That didn't quite come off, but I suspect that's how Microsoft will go with events going forward. Just don't think we'll see the big, massive events anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope not. I really hope not, because from a reporting standpoint, I would say this has been the worst build so far. Really has been bad, because you just can't talk to people anymore. I really welcome the fact that it means many more people can attend the sessions and things are good before. That's fantastic, but I also think it's just proving, and I've seen it across the reporting of the event from lots of sources. People are clearly struggling to actually get information out, so it's getting very controlled now from Microsoft, which I think that might come back and bite them in the future, because it's getting more and more, I wouldn't say Apple-like, but definitely more controlled, which I think is a real shame. And I mean, I would like to see the hybrid event perhaps expanded and more people interacting, really. But I know the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, crikey! I was at KubeCon last week, and now of course Twitter is full of the Cube COVID hashtag. So.
yeah. Indeed.
So I do understand the issue completely, but it's certainly it's been a very frustrating build because it's just been difficult to pin down people. A classic example being the Volterra. I mean, that's great. They can announce that, but of course, as a reporter or journalist, you want to find out more information, and it's just the walls come down. You just can't find out what you need to find out, which you could do in person. You perhaps have a chat to an engineer in a corridor, so what's this about that, and get some background. But there's just nothing. It's very difficult. It's so controlled, which I think is a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. A feature we did get, in fact, since we last recorded, and I mentioned it briefly on a short update show I did last week, they've the dev and the beta channel have split. So as you mentioned earlier, Richard, I'm pretty sure that the build that we got, which one was it?
22621.
Yeah, so that was the one we got for the beta channel. I'm pretty sure that is probably likely to be the final build, and our dev's got off and do its own thing. So we did get a new build for dev last week, 25120, and it had a new feature which I'm sure you're really excited about.
Oh, was this the one with the search box?
Yes, the new widget. In fact, I've got a video because I got this on my machine last week. So here you can see the new search box, and you can do the show more options, and you can show the search, and then you can go into it and search Bing with it.
Yep. Well, if you're lucky enough to be one of the people selected to test it out, I hasten to add.
Yes.
But
not all my devices have got it.
Yeah, I mean, on mine, only one of mine's got it. Interestingly, my ARM64 devices haven't got it, but my Intel devices have. So, no, I have no idea if that maybe is a thing they're using, but I guess it's fairly. Yeah. So this is the search box that's appeared in. It's again part of the widget stuff, and it's a hulking great search box which you can turn off. I mean, fine. I think it makes sense because it makes it easier for people, to use the Windows desktop if they're not familiar with knowing how to get to a search site. I suspect there's a way of changing it to use a different search engine. I'm sure YouTube will correct me if there's not, but I'm pretty sure there's a way of doing that. I mean, I'm trying not to be too cynical. But it's just, search in Windows is a bit of a disaster area anyway, and it just seems to be adding yet another level of complexity to, something which Windows which hasn't worked properly for a while anyway. It's like, hey, let's put a web search on the desktop as well. Yay, great, fantastic. Maybe you should fix Windows search first before you do that. So I mean, I think it'll be great. It'll be good for users who don't mind having a big grey box over their wallpaper and prefer to search that way. That's good. But first thing I did on my Intel machine was turn it off. So
what I was surprised about is it is only a web search. It's not a local search. It's not a one
exactly.
Office 365.
Because you do that through your start menu. You see if you're on a local search, because that's not confusing at all. Yeah.
Now, if it was a hybrid search, and if it was a bit like the or a bit like the click, what's it called, the one in the Power Toys where
Power Toys Run.
Yeah. If it was a kind of Power Toys Run with search, then that would be great. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it also put me in mind a bit of the Mac Spotlight as well. But that would also be great. And obviously, we should point out this is dev channel, so Microsoft is playing around here. So we're seeing an experimental build here. Yeah. This is not what's going to be in the final thing. I hope there's more work going to happen here. And as you say, I mean, Power Toys Run, I think works really well. I love that. That's actually one of my go-to things. Although it doesn't react too well. It looks a bit strange when it pops up with the search there as well. That does look a bit strange now. So I think certainly there'd be ways that they could learn from what Power Toys Run does. I do hope the two teams are talking as well.
Yeah, we know that they do talk.
Yeah.
But I mean, this apparently was something that had been requested by a few people. So
who wanted this?
Yeah.
Give me their address. I'll hunt them down. Give them a stern talking to.
But yeah, it does seem strange use. I mean, is it something to justify widgets? I mean, as you say, it's the dev channel and they're expecting feedback,
Exactly,
so
yeah.
let's give them some.
Exactly. I mean, I will definitely give them the benefit of the doubt here. I'm sure, as they say themselves, it's the first exploration. What was the exact words, which is completely fair, and that's what the dev channel is. We should be very clear. The dev channel is where stuff will be tried out. It may not work at all and go away, but this, I think, at the moment, doesn't feel like it's going in the right direction. But I'm sure there'll be more iterations. And again, I would hark back to Power Toys Run, which I think works really, really well. So, but then I'm biased. I like it a lot.
And of course, since we recorded, well, there's the new suggested actions. So when you copy a date or a phone number to the clipboard, it asks you if you want to.
Yeah, that is a really weird feature, actually. Yeah. I did actually ask Microsoft how you could add third party, because it's how you could add third party apps to it, because it's not entirely clear. I mean, I think obviously when you do dates and things, and it asks you if you want to create an appointment or a more meeting, it will look and see what associations are being made around calendar. But it's not 100% clear how you add third parties in there, which I think there's a slight danger that Microsoft could come unstuck with some of these things, particularly in light of some of the the antitrust and the anti-competition regulators that are getting involved both in the US and the EU around what Microsoft is doing with Windows. It's kind of almost shades of 25 years ago, where they began to sort of tie their services together, and I'm sure they've learned from that. But I do worry a bit that it does seem to be pushing you down towards Teams or towards Outlook or towards other Microsoft services, which I'm sure isn't the intent of the whole team, but that's kind of what it's starting to feel a bit like.
And this is very much like the feature that you get on, say, on Android, where you tap a phone number and it says, "Do you want to use the dialer? Do you want to use Skype? Do you want to use Teams?" Yeah. And then. So what I found as well is I only got this to work on US English. So I've just got to show it on my virtual machine now. So I've got this virtual machine set up to US English and it works. On the UK English machines, it didn't work. So I mean, it's something that we've had on mobile platforms for a while, isn't it? So it's interesting to see it to come to Windows. But like you said, it needs to be clear on how, because on Android it's very simple, isn't it? It just gives you all the apps that have that support that action, and then you choose the one you want, and you can click on the default button as well if you want it to remember that setting. So that's all it really needs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting to see new features. They are trying out new features, at least, and like you said, this dev channel, these features we're talking about here may never see the light of day. It's just things they're testing.
Exactly.
One thing interesting to note as well is that tab, much as I said that I thought the tab browsing would make it into the 22H2, it definitely hasn't, and no sign of it yet.
Not at all, which is strange, actually.
Yeah, because it looked to me like it was a finished the finished item, but obviously not, and with no sign of that. So the dev builds aren't get the tab browsers. 22H2 is definitely has not got it. I mean, they could switch it on, but I suspect they won't. That's 20. What we see in these builds of on the beta channel now is what we'll get later in this year whenever it comes out. Yeah,
I think you're right. I mean, it's the rumors appear to be, or rather not the rumors, it appears to be confirmed again on Microsoft's site, and reported by Therot.com that it looks like it's going to be the 22621, I think.
Yeah,
which I think that's currently in. Is that currently only in the beta ring?
Yeah.
It's not yet in release preview, is it?
No, release preview did get an update last week, but I think it's just the usual update before it hits the normal Patch Tuesday.
Yes, because Patch Tuesday is going to be a big one. I mean, obviously they had a few problems with Patch Tuesday with Windows Server last time around. Hopefully those problems won't be repeated. We won't see the Active Directory service mysteriously having authentication issues on domain controllers. But I don't know
Yeah.
if that hit you at all, Ian, but it was my mailbox was full.
It didn't because I've been bitten so many times with these things now that for servers we have a little test group and a controlled staging of it. So yeah, I don't roll it out as fast as I perhaps used to do in my youth.
Which is the exact correct approach. Always test this stuff. I think that's what Microsoft would say as well. Always, never bang stuff onto production without putting it through, because you never know what weird thing is going to happen in your particular environment. So that's always a good idea.
Yeah. So we had 7.706 in release preview, so that's I think the patch Tuesday. Oh, and you forgot to mention, Richard, something really super exciting. I know that you love we had a servicing pipeline test. You forgot about that.
Yes, we did. We had a servicing, because it's a very well tested servicing pipeline.
And of course, as we are recording this on a Wednesday evening instead of our usual Tuesday evenings, there was a new build tonight. There is a new build tonight.
Indeed, yes, 25126.
Yeah, and which is that's actually the one that's on my virtual machine. I've already got that installed. There's nothing really major in that one. New account settings screen.
Yes, I mean, the account settings screen, they've given it a bit of a polish, which I think is actually, if you're a Microsoft 365 subscriber, is actually quite a useful thing, because it can be a bit hard to find this stuff. I mean, it turned up in a kind of semi-finished guise back in October, whereas now it looks a lot more polished. So, assuming you've got it, because it's again being staggered its rollout, so yet again, then it's not going to all insiders straight away, and you're and you subscribe to the to Microsoft 365, then it'll be a useful thing, I think. Yeah,
it will. So I think the main difference now, turn my lights on, it's going dark, is that it shows you perpetual licenses on there as well as the Office 365 licenses. So not a huge amount, but yeah, there it goes. So you should be getting that. I've just checked my machine now. I don't have any perpetual licenses, so I can't really say whether I've got that change or not, because I just have the Office 365 ones. So, but these builds are getting quite quick to install now, and also fairly reliable. I know they've had a few issues with the recent builds with some upgrades, but I've had no issues with mine.
Yeah, I mean, the only issues I've had really have been with dev channel on ARM 664 machines, where occasionally the build isn't pushed out to those machines. I'm guessing because there's some problem when they create them and they opt not to release them. So they've skipped a few dev channel builds for 64 boxes, although we do all now seem to be up to date.
Yeah. Oh, anti-cheat software may crash your PC.
Oh, that one again. Yeah. Oh, that old familiar one.
Favorite. Yeah.
Exactly. We're back to Windows 10 days, aren't we? Yes. Which again, you can imagine exactly why that happens, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it's good to see new features being tested anyway. So we could be looking at stuff for 23 H1, 23 H2. Well, they said one release a year, so it'd be 23 H2, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that some of the stuff we're seeing being played with on the dev channel, there's a very good chance we could just see being rolled out anyway, because Microsoft has made it all very modular now, so it will be on the dev channel. If they like that function, it may not be a core OS function; they could just bang it out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so plenty for insiders to test at the moment, because we've got 3 different builds on the 3 channels now. In release preview, you've got the .706, and then you've got the beta and the dev on different ones. So plenty of stuff to try. And then, like you said, they're testing things like the Android subsystem. They've been updating that for dev as well. So there's plenty of things to try for insiders.
Definitely, it's good.
Now, what else did we have to talk about this week? I think that was all the stuff I had in my notes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for. I mean, obviously, build. I mean, Garry, did anything else in build catch your eye? There was a lot of Azure stuff, but it's always hard to sort of pick out what's actually new there versus what's.
Azure Container Apps, but that's not really going to affect consumers very much. But it does make some deployment situation is interesting. It's very, very. It makes people able to deploy things in containers without all the hassle. But yeah, that's good.
There's tons of examples. There's some really good problem services stuff, which might make it into like apps and things, language services and things. But never meant, so you tend not to think of the consumer events.
I think we're just slightly losing you there, Gary, but yeah, the containers and things like that, it's good, interesting for developers. I think there's a lot of stuff.
It's the electromagnetic field at the charging place. That's what it is. It's
yeah, it could well be. It's pretty poor phone signal here as well, so it could be anything.
We can charge electric cars in 20 minutes, but we can't get a good voice signal on the phone network. Same.
Which is weird because my car's got a really good signal. It's got lots of bars, so I don't know what network that's using.
It actually sounding better now. It kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
It's
something to do with this big man next to me with a big aerial on the top.
Stealing all your bandwidth. So, well, I think that's just about everything.
Actually, that's an interesting story.
Say that again.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep.
There was a really interesting story I heard today at Build, and I lost you.
Go on. You can't leave us hanging. As a really story on a Build, it goes silence.
If I'm back, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah,
you're back.
Apparently, there's a big problem for airlines at the moment in that trucks in Europe and elsewhere, I guess, have been fitted with GPS-based tachographs, and people are trying to get around that by putting GPS blockers on them.
Oh, right.
Which is creating a 20-mile area where GPS doesn't work.
Right.
And if this truck's something part near airfields, that could be a bit of a problem.
Oh, yes, it would, yeah.
But also, obviously, anything which is GPS based, and a lot of our apps and things we use these days are GPS based. So you happen to be passing a truck and it suddenly stops working. That may be why.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. Those you can't beat those old cardboard tachographs that they used to have. I think that they couldn't cheat them as well.
I mean, you guess that this would be something which would be fairly easy to track down. Just put a police car with a GPS so that if someone comes past and it stops working, you know you might expect to talk to them.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, that they introduce technologies like this, and there's always someone trying to get round it or circumvent it or defeat it somehow.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll carry on. We'll reflect on Build next week. See if there's anything else comes out as for tomorrow, and we can see. So you never know. We've got a new Build, so we will have some new Build stuff to talk about next week as well. I'll get this Build tested. And so, Richard, where can we find you?
Mainly on Twitter at Richard_Speed.
Gary, where can we find you? In your car?
At Garry WMA on Twitter.
Excellent. And yeah, just want to briefly mention that not really technology, but music technology. I just wanted to mention Vangelis, who passed away last week. But,
very sadly.
Yeah, one of my musical heroes. So I'm actually not quite finished yet, but I'm going to do a cover version of the Blade Runner end titles with my little kit that I've got here, because it's such a brilliant soundtrack. Definitely. So I actually watched Blade Runner over the weekend as well, just because it got me thinking, I want to watch that again. And I got the box set one it's got all the different versions of Blade Runner. So it's got the final cut, which is the Ridley Scott one. It's got the director's cut, which isn't the Ridley Scott one. It's got the ones with the voiceover and everything. So I thought maybe I'll watch them all and put the family through it, but no, I only watched the one. fantastic film. And actually, the more I watch it, the more things of that are coming true all the time. I think Philip K. Dick and Ridley Scott and all the people that involved in that definitely had a vision of the future that is not that far off compared to some sci-fis, especially from the early 80s. AI.
As long as you So as long as you can put yourself past all the CRTs on display.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but so
That's
interesting.
the one thing they didn't get right.
Yeah, and no flying cars in 2019, I'm afraid. No, but excellent, super film, great soundtrack as well. So I'll have a track of that to play out with maybe next week as well. And I did have one of my Neutrons as well. It's I played out with last week, so I'll give you a link to that one as well. So I'll include it on my SoundCloud. Right, so that's us for this week. So we'll be back same time, same place next week. You can email me ian@thislifestyle.com, at iSticks on Twitter, and we'll see you next week.
Cheerio.
Take care.